प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्मयेद्धि वेदस्य माणिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहसिः अनेनाद्धीतेनाहोरात्रां संदधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारम् अवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
Do you know why why women could never be pundits and were enjoined from chanting the Veda?
It's not true, actually.
Well, I know there was Vakambrani, who was a seer, but
no, there are rishikas. There are more than 30 rishikas in Rig Veda. They are rishis, creators of the hymns. It is the shift of paradigm again. That's what we have to look into it. What really happened to this society when this mental structure of consciousness took over? And it became very so to say, anti-women's, kind of, it became pro-male development structure. It's very.
There's something about chanting something about the chanting of it that they really.
It's in a later time. In the Vedic time, it wasn't so. It became so only in our classical period. By the way, it became even worse in the classical period. It became so that, for example, women cannot speak Sanskrit even, not only chant. In the dramas of the classical period, when you ask some women, they answer in Prakrits. You can ask them in Sanskrit, but you will hear the answer in Prakrit. So if you speak to a woman, you can speak in Sanskrit, but she will answer in Prakrit, showing that she is lower in her status.
The reason I'm asking is that, we ended up doing this chart. I'm in a Jyotish study group, and we did a chart of a woman who's the daughter of a pundit. And she has 6 siblings. So the father, they kept trying to have children. He wanted a son, wanted a son, wanted a son, and they kept having daughters. And finally, they had a son, and then they quit. The parents quit having children. But the father was always so disappointed with the daughters. And they're all, pharmacists and doctors, and, they're very accomplished. But he didn't love them because they weren't men. They weren't male children and couldn't become pundits. And I just see the chart, very, very compromised charts. All the sisters very, very damaged by this thought of the father that he's had inferior children because they were daughters.
This is a shortcoming of this mental structure of consciousness, which even worse, these kids in certain Muslim countries simply be killed immediately when they are not sons. That's why they have shortage of women, because only sons are welcome, and women and girls, when the girls are born, they are just simply buried immediately into the ground. It's a horrible thing to think of. And in India also, not only Muslims, but also Hindus have this attitude.
Absolutely. Well, Brahmins seems like particularly.
Yeah, you see, such a idiotism. And this idiotism we have to see. It is also partially in the philosophy. We will see this also, and we will distinguish it from the Vedic, which was very different, and women were...
Well, I know in the Vedas, I mean, the mandalas that I've read the most, they talk about fine male progeny and all that, the 9th mandala particularly.
They don't speak about male progeny so much. It's just progeny in general.
Oh, it is. And so then when Griffith translated it, he just said male progeny in the translations?
Or it could be in a, yeah, he meant maybe these viras, the heroic souls, but that is a matter of translation, yeah, in an interpretation. But there is no particular emphasis on male progeny. There are 35 or something Rishikas in the Rig Veda. And if you read the hymns, one of them is the hymn, marriage hymn, is Savitri Rishika. And she's the composer of this hymn that every Brahmin chants many times in his life because he's invited to these ceremonies.
Which one is it? Which
Marriage, the great marriage hymn. When the marriage ceremony is taking place, this hymn is read till the end. It has a long hymn. And you don't know about this marriage hymn? Okay, we will look into it once because it's kind of interesting. This Surya and Soma are marrying there, and all the verses are chanted in the marriage ceremony. And so, and it was, the composer is a woman, Rishika Savitri.
Rishika Savitri. I'm very familiar with Vakamrani. And actually, when we were doing Vak, we looked at some Vakamranis.
Right. Yes, Devi Sukta, we have this, Vak herself speaks. But that is okay. This is mythological figure. Savitri is not mythological. She is Rishika. And Lopamudra is there also. There are many. Lopamudra complained to Agastya Rishi that he is not attending to the household and to the, to her needs, notice. And he admitted that he was wrong. And he changed his attitude. This is impossible to imagine in the post-Vedic, period, that some rishi would attend to this and listen to his wife saying something. And this is part of the hymn, So in a way, what can you say? We are living in a different world where inequality is established.
Yeah, except, and that's, yeah. I have so many thoughts on this, but I don't want to take time away from
Sure.
But I was wondering, because we just did this chart of the daughter of this pundit, and saw this incredible
horrendous, yeah. I
damage.
I can't stand this. When I hear this or see this, this is something which is pushing me away from all that tradition altogether. And I see this idiotism of no responsibility to the spirit or spiritual life. It's kind of religious, kind of, narrow-minded.
Well, I have to say, something you said last week changed my life for good, forever. Mm-hmm. And what it was just because you have a very developed high consciousness does not mean that you don't have a very highly developed lower consciousness.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
As well. So I mean, there's the explanation right there for those pundits and all of those people
exactly.
who spend their. I mean, it's sometimes both get stronger.
Yeah. But that's why I don't like to take for granted. I want to understand. Yes, you please explain to me why women are wrong or bad or something, then I will follow. But if you can't explain, if you just take it for granted because it's like, Islam or something, Islam is even worse in that case, yeah. Then why should I take it? Because it's written somewhere in the book. I'm sorry, it's not an authority for me. Only mind and thinking is authority. If I see the reason in it, meaning in it, then I will follow.
Well, I had an explanation once about the chanting when I asked a pundit, and he said, "Well, it's something that capacity is in the Y chromosome, and it's something to do with the vibration in the vocal cords, and something."
Nonsense. What a nonsense. My God. I heard this nonsense so many times in India. I'm sorry to tell you. I can't really listen to this this thing, explanation of this kind, because what it has to end up with pregnant women they cannot do because they will not bear a child. I heard this explanation. That makes no sense to me.
Right.
Opposite, I say to pregnant women, chant Rigveda to bring that vibration to your fetus, to your child in your womb, that he will get knowledge, he will get support of higher kind. What it has to do with this explanation that women should not do it because they will miscarry the child? Nonsense. And how it could be, how they could miscarry from the spiritual text.
Well, on some level, I'm thinking one of the things, I played Samaveda many times a day when I was pregnant. I had a difficult pregnancy. I had to lie down for many months. I was having to stay in bed and lie down, and I was playing Samaveda, and I was hoping all the time I would have this very very holy child, and then then he comes out, and the first thing I do is look at the chart, and I see this man who's come to me with all these desires, all planets in Kamasthanas, and I'm thinking, holy Moses, this
is mentioned finally.
Holy Moses, I can't push this person into spiritual life because he wants stuff. This is somebody who came to me who wants lots of things. And the only way that I can be a fair mother to him is to help him get his desires met. Because if I push him into spiritual life, he'll rebel, he'll be miserable, he'll hate me. So I felt like I had to, but now as he's an adult, he's 35 years old now. Now he's kind of a little bit reclusive, and I can see, if this miscarry myth, I can see that, sometimes these spiritual beings, they just need to come really quickly just for something. They have some desire for some part of the experience of embodiment, and then they clear out really fast. And of course, lots of people cry and moan about that, but I've seen that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't need very much from embodiment. They just need some kind of little taste of it, and then they leave. And
I understand what you mean. Yeah, we completely kind of see it with a different kind of perspective, that you have to live full life, have many kids, and so on. And if it is not happening, then it's very bad. Truly speaking, yes, we do not know what is happening. The first son of Auroville, I was already telling you, when he was born, everybody was so happy. First son in Auroville, in our place. In a new city the earth needs. The first child was born. And then when he was 6, he drowned in the tank. And then they came to the mother and said, "Mother, look at this, what happened? Our first, what is this? Omen, omen." Mother says, "Don't worry, he doesn't like this body." He explains to them, "He doesn't like this body. That body was not good for him." And she says, "Go and make another child, and I will send him to you." She was keeping him with her, and then they produced another child, and she sent him into this. And this child, which is born much later, and there are many more other kids born in Auroville, is still considered to be our son, the first son of Auroville. He's younger, but he's the first son, and this is the myth of Auroville in making. So
yeah, you have some clues of something like that in a chart. You can see some things like that if somebody has many Dustana placements in their chart. You already know that they are not that they're not very interested in their embodiment very much. You already can tell that. And so if, I keep thinking Jyotish would be so wonderful and helpful in mothering, because if you see something like that in a chart, you mother that child differently than you would trying to push them into be head of the soccer team, or the football team, or whatever you call it.
Right.
You don't push one of those children into that kind of life.
There is one more thing you cannot see in the chart, and then that's what there is the whole problem with the chart. You can see only the nakshatras, devatas, grahas. You see that what the cosmos offers.
Right, but not the soul, right?
Yeah, you don't see the intention of the soul. Why the soul takes on itself this particular formation.
But you can infer it to a very small extent. You can make an inference.
Yeah, maybe. This I don't see it yet, but I wish I would see one day what you say, that we could really guess. But I will tell you what Sri Aurobindo says: the soul which takes even concentration camp for its birth, to be born in the concentration camp. Can you imagine that? Somewhere in, I don't know, in
Bergen-Belsen or something.
Yes, or Svensson. And you are born there as a child. And he says that for the soul, it can be as great experience as any other, because it wants to take on itself the particular impossibility to develop certain qualities.
Right.
And
experiences inform parts of the soul.
Exactly.
That are required for
its growth. Yes.
Its evolution, right. So, that's why, with the gems, people are always asking me, what is it that you look for when you're prescribing a gem? And it's impossible to just throw an answer out like that, because first you have to kind of look at what this being is trying to, what the chart informs you that this being is trying to accomplish in a life. And there's some information about that in a chart. And then you support the devata, which is giving energy and direction and information to that particular intention. And many people have many intentions, and that's where it gets, there's a lot of mixture. But you can kind of parse that out in a chart, and then you give the gemstones are yagyas. It's a yagya that you're offering. It's an offering to a devata, and that by doing that offering and by giving that devata a sthana, a place to live in the proximity of that person, then there's that co-creative gifting, that helping that the devata offers.
If the person is really open to it, yes. If a person is just wearing the stone, it won't do the job. There has to be some inner work also.
There does. There does. But that's, I funnily enough, the people who want just to wear something like that, they fall away from me. They don't really want to put up with all the stuff that I do. So, yeah.
Very nice.
So.
Okay, Vishnu. Pratad Vishnu stavate viryena mregona bhimach kucharo girishtach. We read it already. Yasya urushu trishu vikramaneshu adhikshiyanti bhuvanani vishva. That Vishnu affirms on high by his mightiness, and he is like a terrible lion that ranges in the difficult places. Yea, his lair is on the mountain tops, he in whose three wide movements all the worlds find their dwelling place. We read it last time.
We talked about the three wide movements. I don't remember about the mountaintops.
Okay. All right. We can.
But I do remember the three. You said the dwarf with the three steps that covered the whole world.
Right. It's a well-known myth of Vamana Purusha.
Vamana Purusha, yeah.
Yes. So he is on the tops means that he is transcendental. He is from above. Vishnu is always there from above. But notice that Shiva is also very similarly described, and he is also terrible as this lion, yes, moving unknowingly. Kucharach is not kind of knowing. One doesn't know where he moves. He is hidden. One cannot see him directly. So it's very.
So they're very similar, except one is rising from below and one is
descending from above, right? Very similar.
So when something, does that imply then that it doesn't have that much of an interest? Vishnu is not that interested because he's descending. That his energy is not that.
Should be that, but strangely enough, it is just the opposite, most probably. He is not easily reachable, yes, Vishnu. Much worse, much more difficult to.
How do you get that? I don't understand that, because, I mean, it says in the Gita and everything, that by loving me, that.
Yeah, by loving me, yes, but it is. I'm taking this from Indian tradition, where it is known, because Ashutosha is Shiva, Rudra, easily satisfied. And if you speak to Brahmins, and I did quite a bit, going around finding the difference between the Shaivik approach and the Vaishnavic.
Yeah.
And they're all of them agreeing that Vishnu is much more difficult to bring in and to satisfy, and Lakshmi would not stay at all. If there is some selfishness, or there's some, disharmony in the family, there is some selfish desire for something, and Lakshmi would not come. That's it.
Well, that's manure, because our entire culture here in the United States, and our, look at our presidential hopeful, who's.
Oh, wait a minute. We have to distinguish two sources of wealth. You are not putting everything into Lakshmi's lap. It is not her wealth. There is a Kubera's wealth, and there are other Pani's wealth. There are underground creatures who possess wealth, dwarfs and all kind of creatures who are very rich. Yeah. And
but when you talk about wealth, you're talking about the contentment and the whole.
Right, Lakshmi is the goddess of harmony and bliss and joy. She would not come and stay in the house where there is selfishness or disharmony or desires of lower kind. She would not bring her wealth. There is another type of wealth dominating in the world, which is Pani's wealth.
Pani.
These traders and traffickers of a lower kind.
Pani. I've never heard that word.
Pani is actually the word which is, these are the enemies. This is the Vedic myth. Yeah? They are the holders of wealth. They sit on wealth, like dwarves or something, in the caves. And when Sarama comes to them and demands the wealth for Indra, they start to bribe her and say, be with us. We will give you the wealth, but you will work for us. You will work with us, and so on. The Panis who hold the wealth, the spiritual wealth in the cave, do not know the value of it. They do not know what it is worth. So they can only trade it for something. They are traders, but they do not know the real wealth of wealth, the real value of wealth. So Sarama says, I don't care about you, my master will come and destroy you. And he comes and he destroys Vala and releases the streams or the herds of light, and finds a new sun, a new dawn, a new heaven is coming down from down up, rising. which was held by these bunnies. And these bunnies are the real wealth traffickers, traders of today's world. It's not Lakshmi's force.
I see. Great. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, so
That makes a big difference, huh?
Yeah, huge difference. By the way, I will send you the article on it. I wrote specially on this, on Lakshmi and these forces, comparing
I'd
both.
very much like to read that.
Yeah, with quotations you can read from different sources.
Puranas and whatnot.
Actually, from the Vedas. I take the
From the Vedas. Good.
yes, right.
Good. Well, so this on high, this mountaintop, this mountaintop, is it Meru, or which mountaintops are we talking about here?
Yeah, Girishta is basically standing on the top. We do not know Giri on the mountain, we can say, but we do not know. Yes, there are no yet names here of the mountains in the Rig Veda. At least I do not know. I didn't come across that he would be somewhere on the particular mountain or something. There are no the Kailash or Vaikuntha. There is none of these, but these are later names which are coming later.
And the difficult places, does that mean, like it says in the Gita, the places where that men are not attracted to, that people are not interested in, or
maybe, or maybe the people cannot stay there because it is, too high a level. When you come to the too high level, then there is no air to live there for our kind of sinful and mixed up life.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, maybe that means that Kucharach, difficult to come to, difficult to reach, maybe even. So it's over mental higher level.
So maybe that's a reference right there to the Vishnu being more difficult to please, or to
exactly. Yeah, to please is a good word. It's much more difficult to please Vishnu, much more. And
I still don't understand that, but I think maybe as we continue, I just, because Vishnu's the one that comes and saves mankind over and over again from adharma.
Yeah, but gods come to him, beg him, and then he does something. He will never do by himself something. He's not the one who does, or kind of, at least from what I know, I'm just...
But Rudra doesn't do things by himself either, because he doesn't care.
Yeah, but he's easily invoked. Yeah, he doesn't care, but he will give you a huge gift because he doesn't care. But this one, he will really look into everything and count everything down to the last paisa, and then he will give you only that which is needed. He never gives in abundance. Vishnu never gives in abundance. Even there is one story about Krishna's friend, forgot his name now, in Puranas somewhere, where he was so poor, his friend, they studied together, his closest friend, and they lived in Gurukula together and studied together Vedas. And he loved him so much. And that friend was so poor that he couldn't really make anything anymore. They didn't have food enough. And his wife said, maybe you go to Krishna, he is the king in the palace, and ask him some help, something. We have nothing to eat. So they grabbed or borrowed from somebody some rice and made sweet rice they never ate, and he packed it, and he, in that thing he brought to Krishna. Being hungry, he brought his last rice that he borrowed for Krishna to the king. So when he approached, Krishna rushed to him. Oh, how are you? He was not aware that he is not well. Yeah? Krishna, he's never aware. He's too far away. And then he said, I brought you some, prasad gift from me, from my wife, from my family, this rice, sweet rice. And Krishna jumped on that rice, started to eat it and eat it and eat it, because it was full of that, love and self-giving, to give the last thing to the God. Krishna couldn't stop eating it. It was so sweet for him, that poor rice of the poor house. And then he found out that he was poor, and he changed the situation. And he said, "You return home, and everything will be fine." He returned home, and his home was all right. It was new home. Wife was happy, wasn't enough to eat. But when he was starting, he began to give his gifts to him. When he left, Lakshmi approached and said, "Stop! You can't give more. It will be not good for him and for the development." She stopped him, and he gave only that what is needed. This is Vishnu. It's a very good story which describes how he gives.
It's a very good story, actually, because it's certainly become clear to me that people who have so much wealth, they are very confused by it in general, and they make lots and lots of mistakes. If you have just enough, if you have regularly just enough, that is the real gift from the divine.
Sure.
I really believe that.
Sure.
But Lakshmi is the consort of Vishnu. So, and Lakshmi is unbounded, infinite generosity and wealth, and just spilling out of her hands and everything. So I mean, that's a little bit of a contradiction in a way there.
Lakshmi never gives extras. She brings the harmony and joy, and she can give. Grace can come. Yes, she can be very gracious. She can give you. Yes, but she will not stay if you would not, comply with the particular behavior and attitude and cleanliness and clarity and devotion and love. If these elements are not there, she will not stay, and your wealth will go down. So you can imagine that these people with wealth today, they are not from Lakshmi, definitely. They represent different forces of selfishness and so on. There are very few who really follow Lakshmi and have her wealth, and that is the divine wealth. So, okay, all right. That is about Vishnu also, wealth. It is his power. Of course, Kubera is there also.
So who is Kubera then?
Kubera is very...
He's associated with Mercury, which is commerce and business and communication and all of that other stuff. Kubera is not in my... I mean, I don't know who Kubera is, but Kubera Sthana is Mercury's entrance.
Interesting. Mercury is a bright thing. It is not only about wealth; it is also about knowledge. Yes, and
but I don't know who Kubera is.
Kubera is the god which is very god of wealth.
Well, I know that, but I don't know.
Connected with Shiva. It's a Shaivic approach, yes, to wealth.
Is he Vedic, Kubera?
Kubera is mentioned at least in other samhitas in Taittiriya and so on. He is very ancient. And he has also bhutas with him and all kind of creatures which are not very beautifully looking, but who protect the wealth and very powerful and aggressive. So he's more of that underground world being.
Is he a Rakshasa?
Kind of. It's not Rakshasa, rather Yakshas. Yeah, Yakshas rather than Rakshas. The spirit of some kind. He is the god actually, but he is more of those features of Yakshas. It's it's difficult to speak on him because about him because he is not an ordinary god. Yeah. Uh, but if he gives you a boon, it's a big thing. There you don't have to be very harmonious to possess wealth. Yeah. I mean, another source of wealth, panis, even not Kubera. Kubera is divine, but a little bit like dwarfs, dwarfs in our tradition. In the mountains, they're hiding the wealth. That is Kubera's, so to say, type. But these other panis are really anti-divine forces, and they possess a huge wealth. The biggest wealth. They stole all our spiritual wealth and hid in the cave. And they want to trade it. They are traders and traffickers. They do not know the value of the wealth, but they can trade it.
Well, they use it to aggrandize their lower self.
Exactly. And all the desires. They buy them and sell them. That's what happens today. All right, so let us take number 3 and see what it says. If we are finished with this, we didn't read maybe this what Sri Aurobindo says, but there is more. There is also the world where the self-fulfillment is accomplished, Vishnu's highest stride. In the second verse, the seer speaks of it simply as that Vishnu, moving yet forward in his third pace, affirms or firmly establishes Rastavate by his divine might. Vishnu is then described in language which hints at his essential identity with the terrible Rudra, the fierce and dangerous lion of the worlds who begins in the evolution as the master of the animal Pashupati. And moves upward on the mountain of being on which he dwells, ranging through more and more difficult and inaccessible places till he stands upon the summits. Thus, in these 3 wide movements of Vishnu, all the 5 worlds and their creatures have their habitation. Earth, heaven, and that world of bliss are the 3 strides. Between earth and heaven is the antariksha, the vital worlds, literally the intervening habitation. Between heaven and the world of bliss is another vast antariksha, or intervening habitation, Maharloka, the world of the superconscient truth of things. And that's why these are the 3 steps. Look at this. That's what he explains, because there are 2 antarikshas, and that means from the transcendental world of Ananda to step into the heaven, you have to step over Maharloka, and then you step over Antariksha to the physical world of our earth. Over this vital world, these are the 3 steps of Vishnu.
So this Maharloka is this. It says superconscient truth of things. So the heaven is not involved at all with truth. Then
heaven is mental world. We looked into it. Maharloka is a supermind, or what Sri Aurobindo calls supermind, or Vijnana in the Taittiriya. Taittiriya Upanishad speaks about it as Vijnanam, that which is connecting Satchitananda to our world. This is the connecting world, the great. Yeah, and that's why it is Antariksha. It's a good explanation, by the way. Easy to follow.
Connecting world.
So there are two connecting worlds. Vital world and Vijnana. All right, next verse.
1 to 3. Okay.
Pravishnave Shusham etu manma girikshita urogayaya vrishne ya idam dirgham prayatam sadhastham ekovimame tribhih it padebhih. Pravishnave Shusham etu Shusha. Let our strength and our thought go forward, O Vishnu, the all-pervading, the wide-moving bull. Whose dwelling place is on the mountain, Girikshita. He who, being one, has measured all this long and far extending seat of our self-accomplishing by only 3 of his strides. Again, his 3 strides. Let us read my interpretation. Forward must go our shining strength and word-carrying thought to Vishnu dwelling on the heights, Girikshite, to the bull wide-moving Urugayaya Vrishne.
So I want to ask about this. So whenever the bull is mentioned, isn't that kind of always connect to the vital world? The bull is connected or implying that vital force.
Right. Bull is actually Vrishan, is from root Vrish, to conceive, the one who conceives the Lord.
Vitality.
Well, not necessarily. Who conceives the semen, the seed, the truth, the being. He brings being into motion. And in that sense, Vrishan is always associated with the Lord, with the one who possesses and conceives this world. Yeah? Vital world is a world of power, but not about. It is not about the beings there which can be conceived. It can be seen as a conceivement itself, but not as a one who conceives. Yeah? Though, yeah, it depends how you see. Matarishwan, who is the lord of the Antariksha, of the vital world, is the...
Who is that? Matarikshvan? Who is it?
Matarishwan. Matarishwan is the one who grows in the mother, who conceives and grows in the mother. Matari in the mother, Shva, growing, swelling in the mother. It is this, the lord of the in Antariksha, of this world in between heaven and earth, of the vital world. Yeah.
So the vital world, you said, has mostly to do with power, but it isn't.
Right, it's a power world, world of power, mostly of this impulsion, and we know what is the vitality. Our feelings, emotions, they are very powerful things, and our sensations. Sensations are closer to the body, to the physical part, emotions to the mental, and our feelings are properly vital. So we have 3 different categories, so to say, within the vital realm.
Oh, so the feelings are vital.
Feelings are properly vital, yes.
And emotions closer to mental.
Right. They're kind of hued by mental presence or painted over.
Feelings and senses, did you say?
Yeah, our sensation as what
Emotion and
sensuality, when it goes into nerves, we are becoming very sensual. Yeah, we become physically sensual. We feel the touch. We feel through the physical. We feel not by feelings as, for example, like jealousy, or these are proper vital movements. Yeah, and jealousy or pride. Yeah, pride is a powerful vital movement.
Greed,
Greed, sexual drive, also
lust,
lust. Yes, krodha, also
anger.
anger. Manu was probably also. Manu is more of the mental. It's more emotion of some kind. It's more from the heart, not from this navel center. All these feelings proper to the vital are connected to the navel center closer, to this Manipura chakra. That is their place. And Svadhisthana is more these sensations in the body, the sensuality in the body. And Anahata is more this emotional center, more of that mental quality.
Okay. So Vishnu is not at all, he's not that interested in that vital.
He steps over it, yes.
He steps right over it. Okay.
Into our physical. So it seems that physical, mental, and transcendental are his three steps.
Physical, mental, and transcendental.
Right. Maybe that's why he cannot really. I just still wonder what it means, really.
Well, this takes quite a lot of measuring and discrimination to get the Vishnu and the Rudra and the connection, and to really sift through all this divine power and this divine work, and to really try and understand. Because boy, these days you sure hear a lot of chanting of Vishnu, Triambakam. Everybody's howling Triambakam all the time out in the yoga studios, and well, I mean, it takes a lot to be able to kind of.
Triambakam from yoga studios sounds very funny, right?
It's very funny, but it's happening absolutely. Like the people like Deepak Chopra, for example, these incredibly faux yoga proponents, and now Oprah is teamed up with Deepak to do these global, and they're invoking all these giant powers, and without having a clue really about what they're asking for, really, and what they're invoking.
They are kind of doing this. I like his music, by the way. Many people who this type of new age music, half Indian, half Western, with Deepak Chopra's flavor. I can listen to them. They have great.
What's Deva Premal? Do you know her?
Oh, these. Deva
Premal. She's got this beautiful voice, and she's chanting everything you can imagine.
I need to find more good things for our car, because in our car we don't have good music. Radio is not sufficient, so I need to browse and find these beautiful chants from mantras. And
you have her? Do you know her? She chants everything under the sun, and she's got a beautiful voice, and she's. I don't really know who gave her this.
I heard this name. I heard the other names also, but I don't.
Well, write this one down, because her music is so beautiful to listen to.
Okay.
And I don't know her pronunciation.
Deva Premal, I remember. It's not difficult.
Yeah, she would be a good one for the car.
Yeah, Devi Premal, most probably.
What's her name? No, Deva.
Deva. So,
She doesn't know anything. She just doesn't know anything. She just sings it, but it's beautiful.
right. Okay.
So anyway, we were talking about.
Let us look into this again. So to Vishnu, yes, let our strength share Shusham. Shusham is strength, is flaming strength. Etu should go. Yeah. And our thought, manma. Manma is the same as mantra. Yes? It's a suffix man and root man. So,
Man.
yeah, the manma, that which carries thought, or our thought simply. Girikshite, to the one who dwells on the top. Urugayaya, to the one who is with the wide steps. Vrishne. Yeah. Let our strength and our thought go forward to Vishnu, the all-pervading.
So let's talk wide moving. When you say wide moving bull.
Yeah, Urugaya. Urugaya is the wide moving. Uru, wide, ga is to go. Yaidam dirgaham prayatam, who is this long spread, sadhastam, one world, sadhastam together staying literally.
So does that wide moving mean universal?
Could be even meaning something more. It is, could be. Yeah.
So this bull quality, this lordship, this extremely lively lordship, which pervades everything, which is
right, transcendental. Our mental and our physical existence is his 3 steps. He connects them all into one.
But I'm just thinking about this wide moving bull expression. How wide are we moving here?
Oh, very wide, very wide. From transcendental to our mental, and from our mental to our physical, these are wide movements. And these wide movements cover those antarikshas, by the way. He doesn't step onto them, but they are covering, they are covered in between. So basically, they are those connecting realms of these steps. Yeah? So to say, in between spaces.
Is when you say in between spaces, is that also include what we call gap?
It is in a way a gap, yeah, but which is
Gap
covered.
is a very popular word in the yoga circles these days. That's Deepak uses that a lot. The gap and gap is implied as the transcendental reality which exists between anything which is material, like, or even the speech, even words, even the word. There's a gap between them, and there's a certain kind of transformational energy that happens between two things, right, where one thing is dissolving and then something transforms and something else comes up out of it. But that's not antariksha.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly. It is. Okay.
Antariksha is that very gap that where things are reconnected in a new fashion. It is the place of the sacrifice, where the real transformation is taking place, because in these stationary, so to say, positions, the transformation cannot take place without the gap, without the interaction. The distance is needed where something new can be made, and these gaps are there. Most probably that's why there are 3 steps, to create this possibility of exchange between these stationary positions, 3 steps. But anyhow, they are within his realm. They are not without. So
Is there anything without? Is there anything without Vishnu?
there is something he left, according to the myths. He left the one part, which is Naraka world, the
Which is it
underground,
called? Say it again, please.
the underground world. He left to the Asuras. He didn't take it. He left to the unconscious world untouched, which goes below that inconscient ocean, the infinite darkness ocean. He didn't go there. He didn't step there. So there is something beyond it.
Wow. That's kind of hard for me to swallow that.
Well, it's a mythology. You can swallow as mythology now.
Well, I mean, because all that darkness that exists is also the self. It's all Brahm. It's all Brahman, right? All this is that. All of it.
I agree. Well, I can't undo it easily. I would love to create a new myth, but for some reason there is
But I mean,
something.
it could be just layers. It could be just describing various layers, and that's some ways that you can reconcile things often by just saying it's a different layer, a different order of reality.
I would rather think about it, why it is so. Right? If I don't find the answer why that world, that infinite darkness was left without his step, so to say, out of his reach, not within his realm, that means something for me. Yeah? It's a very creative thought. So there is something which is to be still dealt with, something which is which we have to see differently.
Yes.
So we cannot say that because we understand that everything is Brahman. Brahman is spirit, it's something else. But three steps of Vishnu is the action of the transcendental Godhead into our myths, into our manifestation, where it is reaching, up to what moment it comes, where it is including us. So we are included as physical, mental beings here, yeah, within his realm, within his responsibility. But in the realm of the inconscient, we are, on our own. If we fall into that in conscious ocean, we would be not helped by Vishnu, so to say. We are not in his realm, so to say. There is something else there.
But Rudra will come then.
Yes, he can take.
Rudra will come into that dark inconscient and
Yes.
call you out if you fall in there.
Yeah, he can swallow the poison. He can do many things, right? But Vishnu would not do it. Vishnu would not go there. So there is something about him.
So it's more pure and it's more luminous and it's more it's more heavenly and golden and divine, whereas Rudra lives in the forest and he's dirty and he doesn't mind getting dirty and he doesn't mind going into those filthy places.
Yeah, he doesn't mind going. Yes, he's in all those shavanas and all those burial grounds and so on, as ascetic and all puts on himself all the ashes and so on of the burned people. But in a way, yes, it shows this exactly. Rudra is absolutely pure, cannot be made dirty. Yes, it's only he can go into those realms where Vishnu would not go, because his influence somehow ends with the physical, with our established physical being.
So you know what? I keep wondering. I this thought that you presented last time about just because you have the higher consciousness does not mean that you also don't have, highly developed lower consciousness as well. And I'm kind of thinking, maybe, like what happens in the world, where you think everybody has this expectation that if you have developed higher consciousness, then you're pure, then you have no lower consciousness, because the higher consciousness will pervade the whole thing, and the lower will be driven away. It'll be eliminated. And so that's more like Vishnu. If you have only a higher value, then the lower is stepped over. It's eliminated. It's no longer part of the reality of your day-to-day functioning. But with Rudra will include everything, because it doesn't. I mean, that remark that you made is more of a Rudraic remark than a Vaishnavic remark, that about just because you have the higher consciousness. Because with Vishnu, once you have the higher consciousness, he's not. I mean, once Vishnu is invoked and comes, then he's not there. There's no room for the inconscient or the lower consciousness.
Right. Oh, well, there is antariksha, we should not forget, the gap. And this gap may bring forces even which are not within ourselves, from outside, from below and from above. So all these forces from below and above enter into our antariksha, into our space, and we are dealing with them. They can.
Are we afraid of antariksha?
Well, we are antariksha, by the way. We are nothing but that antariksha, the connection of heaven and earth in this body, and giving it, the soul, the space to be. But the forces of the higher and lower also enter here, and they can influence us and make us their, kind of instrumental to them. So we will follow sometimes higher thoughts, and we will be absolutely drawn to the beauty of the spiritual life. And the other moment we can be drawn to some kind of ugly thing, which is very selfish.
Television.
Television, enjoyment, everything else, whatever life may give as a sensual, lower, vital enjoyment, is also part of our deal. And we can't say why, really.
And so that's all, when you're having that mixture of things coming in, that's all antariksha?
It is all coming through antariksha. There is no way for it to come into it cannot come from physical, cannot come from mental. These mental and physical are two steps holding quite steady. But it can come through the vital world, where all these influences of higher mental and lower underground influences are coming and fighting within ourselves. We are the field of the...
Is that Kurukshetra?
Yes, it is a constant Kurukshetra within ourselves. These forces, who will possess us? Who will take over? Either this or that. I'm fighting with myself. No, I say to myself, I will not do this. I will be this. This is our fight. But the forces come from there, and sometimes they're so strong that we can't really overtake them.
So we can offer those to the devatas, because they can use those things. They can use that stuff. Yeah. It's difficult for us, but they can use it.
Yeah, and we do this, and I often say, I come to and say, Mother, please take all this from me, all the trouble I give to you, all the things, all my desires of this kind, I visualize, and I give them. And I feel, oh, so good, it is gone. But then, after some time, I miss them. I feel, oh, where are you, my dear enemies? So boring to be without you. I want you back. And so I call them back.
Love letters to Putin.
Yes, this is what happens all the time. And it is, I'm sure it happens not only to me, it's a universal fact that everybody who banishes some force will, because he's used to it, it's a very strange thing. Those who were abused, they like their abusers at the end. Because
But this is what evolution is, though. I mean, this is the whole trick with evolution, because you maybe repeat these cycles over and over again, but there's at some point that which nourished you at one stage no longer is nourishing. You're sick of it. You don't want it anymore, and then you move to another.
once you're fed up, it's gone. You don't need even devatas for this. You will kick it out yourself. Really. You can do it once you're fed up.
But that's evolution, and that's as much built into the whole process.
Exactly.
And the desires themselves actually are the food for the evolution.
Exactly. So until we are free from it, really, we will not be free from it. We may try, of course, and we will learn something by it, definitely, but it is not the whole thing. It will come.
But that's what the gods want. They're sitting there waiting for you to, waiting for you to figure it out and to learn something, and then they eat it real quick.
Right.
They eat that real quick, and then there's another layer of it.
Right. Then you want it again, yes. Suddenly. You miss your old friends and old enemies. It was so interesting to be with them, and then you start calling them back, and they come, and it's like you got rid of smoking or drinking. Yeah? You are an alcoholic, and then you were without alcohol for 2-3 years. And then when you are offered some vodka or something, you may not be strong to reject that temptation.
Or the biggest trick is, well, I'll just have one drink.
Yeah.
I won't drink the whole bottle this time. I'll just have one drink.
Little.
Just have a little bit. And then, of course, then you're lost.
By the way, Sri Aurobindo says that it can be used in this way. He says there are 2 ways to get rid of the habit. One is to reject it and never to touch it again. The best way, by the way.
Is that the best way? I think that's the cowardly. That's more cowardly.
Yeah, well, but it is the most effective. The best means effective in this sense. And the other way, he says, when the pull is too strong, you can give a little bhoga to it, little. But in the moment you do it, you have to really control it, that it should not come to that what you say. I will drink a little bit and then I will stop. No, when you drink, you have to recognize how you don't need it. In that moment, you have to work with consciousness. And he says that yogis are using both methods to get rid of.
Well, I think it's much, much harder to just have a little bit of something. Much harder to do that.
See, also
control it and control than it is to just if it's very easy to reject something completely.
Really? If you have this power, please use it, because this is the most effective willpower, which you can change your life totally by application of this will.
Well, I think it takes less will to reject something completely than it does to take a little bit of it and control it. Really control it as it's having some influence. Because as soon as you take a little bit, then the impulse is to take more. Then your impulse is that you want more of it. You want it more.
No, it was about that when the pull is too strong. Not so strong that you can't live, It is so bad that if you take it a little bit, and in that moment of time, when you take it, you recognize that it is not what you wanted. It is not the thing you were looking for. You have to control this part. Then you will be able to get rid of the pull, of this impossibility to be without it, and you continue the same track. So it's a kind of device. I understand what he means by this. I tried both, by the way, so I know. And not
we've all tried both.
Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. We stop here for today, and
Okay, so do we consider that we finished this?
no, yeah, I think we will come back to it once more, just as a context. I think.
With Radhe.
Right. Maybe. And to read more about it.
What are you and Radhe are meeting on Tuesdays?
We are not meeting this Tuesday. She is out of station.
I see. So are you guys, when you're meeting on Tuesdays, you're not working on Rig Veda, you're working on.
No, we were working on something she was looking into Aprisuktas, and she wanted something else. Maruts. She wanted Maruts and Indra of Agastya Rishis, 165. So we will look into it for her own studies.
That's
For,
right. Well, I hope that we're still, I hope, well, maybe once Maruts, I'm interested in Maruts also, but I guess, and I was thinking that we were going to get to them eventually.
Oh, definitely. I've been there, not once, but I don't remember how we came to Maros. We started with Aprisuktas. She did some research.
No, what her research was on the different Rishi families.
Right. That's what it was. What rishis represent, and that's why we took Agastya. I even forgot what was the reason.
That's right. She has this chart that she made, this spreadsheet that she made.
We could use it for ourselves. She can send to us. It's a very good.
She sent it to everybody. I mean, I have it.
Okay.
It was an early thing, and it's her own research. It's quite lovely, isn't it? I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But to really know what that implies and what all of that means, that's what you're working on with her, I'm sure. But I'm interested in Maruts particularly. I mean, there's some gods that I'm because they're so practical, or they're practically oriented, and I'm interested in their working. So I hope we're going to get to that sometime.
Oh, definitely. We have our I never went with anybody so deep as with you together into this kind of study, into the every detail.
Isn't it luscious? Isn't it just delicious?
It is. It really is.
It's the best. I've never had anything like this either. I have. Marcia gives us deep things too, but this is incredible.
Yeah, this in detail and with the practical application and with, all the personal data, which is very good. Very nice. Okay, we will stop for now here, and we'll continue. We will meet on together. Yes, on this.
We'll meet Wednesday with the big group, and then Thursday with Manu.
Yes, Wednesday also, and you will ask your question. What was your question about?
Oh boy. Well, the question that I had was, in my training, Purusha is not involved, and is that aspect of individual consciousness, infinite consciousness, which is just the witness and is uninvolved. And in this chart that you put up, you said that it is the Adhyatma is involved with the senses, that there is sensory character.
I say they are the faculties of consciousness of Purusha.
But it's got sensory, it's got sensation in it, and it's involved with those bhutas and indriyas.
Right, indriyas are parts of Purusha, yes, and it is not me.
That is not my training, and that's why I was having trouble with it.
Yeah, we will have to read Aitareya Upanishad, and everything will be clarified immediately.
Well, so the question in my mind is that something that sensory, that involvement with the senses that you say that is Adhyatma, is that Purusha, is that something that developed more in Upanishadic period? Or because my training is that Adhyatma is uninvolved. It's Atma. It's uninvolved. It's underlying all the senses, and it's just that part of consciousness which is witnessing everything in a completely uninvolved character, utterly completely uninvolved, no possibility of involvement whatsoever. It's just witnessing.
Right. Yeah, I will maybe address this issue of what Purusha is for this world and what it means that he pays attention, what he gives attention to Prakriti and why Prakriti moves. This is Sankhyaik paradigm, what you are now talking.
Okay. Not Upanishadic. So by the time the Upanishads have come along, then the Purusha is involved with the sense.
Purusha was sacrificed in the Rig Veda himself, and his parts were distributed and became this world. If you know Purusha Suktam, it's even
more. Sahasra
Yeah, yes. And this...
Yes, I know it.
Yes, so if you analyze what it is being said, you will see that it is not a witness, far from it. It is a part of... Parts of Purusha became this world. This is Rigvedic view. And then there was a shift that not the whole Purusha became part of this world, but only his faculties plunged into the inconscient and recreated Purusha within. It's Aitareya view, Upanishadic view. So, and that is another kind of continuation of this thinking, but already in a new fashion. And then we see that Purusha is uninvolved, constant Sakshi, observer, and Prakriti by herself. These two are kind of never crossing, so to say. But it is not totally so.
Well, they inform each other, but they don't participate.
Yeah, well, the Tantra would say differently about this, but let us look into it. It's kind of interesting because Sakshi is the first step. First, we recognize him as free from Prakriti. And the second step is that he is Anumanta. He is the one who gives sanctions. He's sanctioning the movement of Prakriti.
Yes, sanctioning, I like it.
And the Anumanta, and the third step, he is Ishvara. And then when he is Ishvara, then Prakriti is changing her nature into Shakti. She is no more Prakriti, who does herself something for him. She is his force. She does everything he wants. That means that there is no difference between him and her anymore. And that is something which Tantra develops. Again, on the Vedic ground. But Sankhya fixed only one relation, that he is always observer, Sakshi, and she is always here, the executive force, who does everything. So, but that is only one stage fixed.
Okay, yeah, sure. It's a stage, and I think consciousness, Marcia always said knowledge is different. The truth is different in different states of consciousness. So wherever to whatever extent you've developed consciousness, that paradigm applies. And then when your consciousness continues to expand, then that previous one no longer applies. Or it's
partially applies.
Not that it doesn't apply, but it's subsumed by the onslaught of another state of your own consciousness.
Right, it's a part of it, and it's a valid part. It's true that Purusha is Sakshi also, yes. He's free from Prakriti, always free, and at the same time, there's something else going on. Right?
There is because, and I just heard a fascinating lecture today on physics and consciousness by this quantum physicist who talks about the unified field as the ultimate, and he said the unified field, it is completely underlying all, the subatomic and the atomic and the, superstring and all these other fields of physical existence, there's a unified field that is at once uninvolved, but it's also has a dynamism, an unmanifest dynamism within it that gives rise to the superstring and the Planck scale and the subatomic and the atomic and the classical layers of creation. Very fascinating lecture. It's on YouTube. I should send you the link to that.
Oh, please send me. I love these. If there's something really of that deep and interesting, please send me the link. I will watch in my free time. I love to.
In all your free time. Yes. Yes, your wife will be so happy. Anyway,
we can watch together even. But she loves this science fiction.
She does. This is very interesting. This is very interesting. Anyway, we'll go. I have another conference in 20 minutes, and I have.
All right, let us finish with mantra.
We did.
Oh, we did already. Okay.
Yeah, we did mantra already. It was lovely.
All right.
So we were at the goodbye, Vladimir stage.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Julia. See you.